Ever wondered what it's like to collaborate with a larger studio to have one of your projects made? Today I'm going to show you one such collaboration. I'm designing some sample panels for a brand new project for 9 windows in a church. And we're going on a road trip together, and I'll show you what it can be like to collaborate with one of the world's top stained glass studios. So today we're in Germany. I drove over last night from the UK, and I'm now at the wonderful Peter's studio here in Paderborn to meet the director of the studio, Jan Peters, to start a project. Really excited to share it with you. Come along for the journey. It's going to be fun.
Hey, Derek. Good seeing you.
Good to see you too. How are you?
I'm doing very well and hope that's the same for you. Let's take everyone in the studio.
So the first process is to decide on a section of the design that we're going to blow up full size and make into a sample panel. So we have a look at the design and we choose an area and blow it up and print it out.
Yeah, very often for us, the one-to-one printouts or one-to-one references are extremely helpful because they really show details of the texture and details how you've maybe created something. Seeing it really in one-to-one scale is always a bit of a discovery.
Oh, for sure. And then you see all your errors and all the mistakes because everything is blown up.
What you find down here is our the storage for different LED profiles, but also different types of glass. As for your project now, we have a diversity of glass that we can use for sampling, but is mainly the treasure for the restoration. For new and contemporary project, we would order new glass with the glass manufacturer with Lamberts to really have the right qualities and right amounts. These ones are the 2 smallest kilns that we now have in our studio that you see down here, the last gas-fired kilns that we got when I was a young child in the studio, and then the first electric kiln that really, the electric kilns were the opener really for the possibilities of expanding the glass size and length. So it's in the restoration, I mean, to me, that's always something that's really inspiring and fascinating because it brings together the 2 different souls in our chest, and we have the old and the new. It's can be extremely inspiring to see how long something can be lasting. I mean, if we're restoring a work from the cathedral in Chartres from the early 1200s, then just imagining how many people have seen the work over time or have been inspired by it. And we have a nice selection of current projects.
And does conservation account for quite a large portion of your work?
It's about the restoration almost makes up half.
So after the sample panel has been printed out full size, we set about deciding on the range of glass types that would be appropriate for this commission. There's a variety of different flash glasses. This is all handmade Lambert glass, flashed antique, which means it has a very thin layer of glass that we can etch away. And the team assemble a variety of different glass types for me to have a look at. This starts to get really exciting because what started as a computer screen design moves onto a paper template and now becomes a glassy reality. And I can see the quality of the glass, the textures, the striations, the bubbles, all of the things that are going to make this design have its unique characteristics. A lot of discussion as well about the technical aspect happens at this stage, where we decide on where we're going to cut our stock sheets down at the right point so that we can create the design in the most economical way. So once we've agreed on the glass types, we begin by cutting some sample pieces out of our chosen glass, and we take them to our second factory, which is a few miles away, where we can begin to etch the glass and to create shading and texturizing. I can't get over this rabbit warren. I get lost every time I'm here. You have so many levels.
We make use of this sometimes when we want to escape. So Derek, you've seen we're a family-run business that is now doing it in fourth generation. Here we are now at our new studio that we started in 1999, and really allows us to spread more out on even surface. We have all the production level on floor level, and that really enables us to handle bigger pieces of glass and larger scale projects.
So this factory is really quite a large ground floor factory space with lots of different rooms. We've got sandblasting, and we've got screen printing, and we've got lots of different international artists working. It's a busy, creative space where there's pieces of glass being put up all the time for artists to look at and explore. So here we are now. We're about to go into the colouring room to decide on how we're going to add colour to our chosen pieces of cut glass. Yeah, and I've just been calling this room the colour room. Is this what it is?
Yeah, we would call it the color room or the color archive. And here we have swatches and samples of many different types of color, from opaque to transparent enamels, silver stains, red stains, fusing colors, and would start early here with artists trying to reference their designs to colors. As you know, glass is challenging to refer to specific color codes because the light situation changes glass tremendously. If you're reviewing a glass in a bright sunny situation or against a dark background, it totally changes the color. We start here analyzing color, or speaking about the situation that the work would go to, and start referencing color codes.
It's fabulous. It really is. I was using the term Charlie's Chocolate Factory because I feel like a kid in a sweet shop. There are so many options that you have every color palette and every color palette combination here. And I think it's a testament to your kind of commitment to regenerating an artwork as closely as possible, that you've got such an array of options.
Derek, I can introduce you to Klaus. He's one of the most experienced painters we have here in the studio, and would try to become your extended arm and interpret your design together with you in glass.
So at this point, Klaus takes over with his team, and the fabrication continues, where vinyl stencils are made and sandblasting is taking place. So that represents the end of that first day, and I can retire to my little apartment. International artists who are visiting the studio get access to studio apartments, which are absolutely fantastic. And there's this beautiful, dramatic staircase up the 3 floors before we get into the apartment. And these windows look fantastic after dark. So what's the studio apartments like? They're great. It's just like a 1-bedroom loft apartment. It's got a living room area and a kitchen area and a bedroom area, and it's absolutely ideal. So next day, bright and early, I'm treated to a beautiful breakfast before we return to the factory to continue the making. So the glass samples have been put into the kiln overnight, and we're ready to look at them again. I'm amazed by the size of these kilns, and this is incredible.
Yeah, it's really something that changed over the last decades and allows for such more free use of the glass.
Wow. So what is your largest kiln that you have here?
The largest kiln has a length of 6 meters.
Oh my God. Yeah, so you can do really huge installation, single glass pieces, yes? 6 meters?
There's certain challenges to it, but yes.
So we assemble all of the test pieces, the painted pieces, the etched pieces, and we inspect them again and just discuss exactly how we're going to treat every aspect of it before we make the final sample panel. I think one of the most wonderful and magic moments for artists when they first come here is coming to this gallery, because it's just a world of possibilities that you just don't expect. You know, there are so many techniques at play here, and you also use this space for events as well, don't you?
Yeah, also a little bit. I mean, the works that you see here are a huge help for artists and your colleagues, sometimes finding out what could be a possible translation for the work, and also what would not be a good translation. I mean, it's also helpful for us if someone comes and says, I don't really like what you've done here, that's not what I want, let's find different approaches. So this diversity helps finding technical possibilities of how to translate something, but also enables us to find out if we have a client who's coming to us on the search to find an artist. This one would be a very interesting work by British artist Graham Jones, which I think is quite interesting. It's in fact a very classic leaded stained glass window, so with the lead lines going through, some engraving, acid etching and contour colors. So the principle of this piece is really exactly as it could have been made centuries ago, but just with a lot more of a sophisticated approach and technique to it.
And do you still find a need to use the traditional techniques of glass painting and staining in modern work as well?
Well, not only the need to do this, but a huge chance. I think a lot of these very traditional techniques up till today have a huge importance. I mean, it's not only the durability and long-lasting quality of some of these techniques, but also the details that you can create. And I think Graham's work here is a piece that really shows how these traditional techniques can translate to a very contemporary design approach and design.
It's well worth a visit. If you ever get the chance to make a piece, I'd suggest you bring it to one of the European studios. There are a number of them. But I can definitely, from personal experience, say working with Peters is a great experience. Other studios are available. But yeah, working with Peters are very sensitive to what you need and very good at providing it in a easy way so that it makes the creative process seamless in a way. It's just something that happens organically. It doesn't feel as if you're having to communicate difficult issues time and time again. They understand pretty much straight away what it is you're looking for. And have the resources and the materials and the skillful craftsmen and women to realize your ideas quickly. So returning back to the factory the following day, we find Klaus finishing the sample panel with a little bit of added sandblasting to create texture and to create all of the details that we want. And the sample panel is now a laminated piece of glass. So we have our pieces of colored glass, which have been painted and etched, and they're glued onto a backing piece of glass to create a seamless single panel with no lead lines. It's a beautiful way of creating a stained glass panel that's very light, colorful, but also very durable. And here we have final inspection of the sample panel. Putting it in place. There we have it, our sample panel, ready to take back to the UK. And if you are thinking about taking a project to one of the larger studios either in the UK or in Europe, I would heartily suggest you try and make it happen, because it's a great experience, especially coming to a place like Peters Glass. So we're leaving now to take our sample panel back to the UK. If you like this type of video, please like and subscribe and follow along for more. I create lots of tutorials and inspirational videos all about stained glass. I interview international artists to just showcase the best stained glass happening in the world today. Thanks again for watching. Bye for now.